be super long because I'm going to go over pretty much everything. The one thing that isn't like fully up to date on this template is this one, which says still updating. Oh, and the research project template. But those kind of stand alone, whereas a lot of these like connect to each other, so it doesn't matter too much, and just whenever you actually want to use either of these, the research or the template, just come back to this template and copy whatever is newest, because if you're copying it right now, which is May 14th, 2020, which nobody's going to do that today, then it won't be updated. Okay, I can also make tutorials for those. Okay, cool. Let's get started. So I'll start with the daily notes template. So I have little notes in here that basically just tell you what to do, that give you examples, etc. But the most important part of this entire page is the master action tracker, which I will put into its own page. Okay, so let's look at, where's everything? So this master action tracker is basically where you will track all of your actions, of course, if you want. And I do from simple things like emailing somebody to big projects like getting ready to move to Berlin. And it's just a place to organize it all, and you usually won't look at everything as everything. You'll look at it in like very filtered out ways, and I'll go over most of those, and you can kind of put together how it works. So to start, let's look at one action. So here's a parent project, what I call a parent project. You can change the word for it if you want, but basically it's just like an overarching project that will have lots of subtasks. So I'll go over each of these. So you give a short description. The area, I obviously haven't changed these to what you want them to be. I have them as examples. And basically you just want to put in like what area of life does this have to do with. Then you want the type of project, so is it a parent project, is it a long-term project, short-term project, is it a plan for something, etc. When I'm making like a parent project, I'll usually fill out everything. If I'm making a short subtask, which I'll show you later, I won't fill out everything. I'll just fill out like area and maybe type and then urgency and importance, and I'll show you those later. So then I just have subject, and you don't even need this. This is just like something that I like to do to further set it apart, but honestly it's not that necessary. I'm me, so I like extra organization. Then these are two things that you need to fill out. You have urgency and importance, and this is just like a way of filtering out which projects you should work on right now versus later, etc. I think there's some method that this is called. I forget what it is. I don't really care. You can make this into even more detailed levers if you want, such as not urgent, somewhat urgent, extremely urgent, etc. That would change the action, which I'll show you in a second. But basically these things determine what you have to do. So there are 4 different things that this will work. So if it's not urgent, but it is important, then you plan it. If it's urgent but low importance, you either do it or don't do it, so just like decide, which is why it says shit or get off the pot. And then there's also not urgent, not important is for a rainy day, so you can just put that aside and not think about it and just, yeah, and there's a section that you can see those in. So this automatically updates. If you want to add levels to this, I've just prioritized having simplicity over it being super detailed here, but if you wanted to change it, you would have to add a bunch of lines of code, and go ahead, do that if you want. I'm not going to, but you can figure it out. And then you have the hours that it's going to take. So this is just like an estimate, And then we get into, before I go over the total parent hours, I just say you can add links to relevant things, the dates that you'll be working on it. So let's say that I'm working on this from May 14th until then. And so then you can just have that there. And that's how long you'll be working on it. Ignore these numbers, those are going to go away soon. I was trying to mess with something. But basically you have the status, so this status is started. If it's done, you just click off done and it will go away, but that's a different thing. So links, dates, status, and then you have subtasks. And basically in here you can add any new subtask for this. So for example, make a budget, fill out the visa. Here's a random example. Look at secondhand stores that are nearby, and when you click done on one of these, it rolls up here and tells you what percentage of all of your subtasks are done. So here 1/4 of these are done, and so this is 25%, and if I say that's done too, it doesn't automatically do that. The way that I go back would then be to click the back button, which you can also do by clicking command and then the square bracket, but ignore that, not important. So now it says 50%, which is cool. It also says when it was created, and then here we have, and when you go into these cards, if I've tagged a subtask, if I go into that subtask, it will tell me that the parent task is this. So when you've connected a subtask, that subtask will automatically be updated to show you the parent task. So we can go back to the parent task by clicking that. And then you can connect it to people. So for example, this is in the template people, so I don't actually have my boss, but if I would say Jenny, who's my boss, and her name is in my people database, and it would automatically come up, and I would link that. I would link her just to like have the people that are relevant to this project. There are also these things I'll show you later, but it's not really relevant right now. And then there's also a relevant flight. So these are just other databases that I have that are relevant to the master action tracker, and you can link them. And then in here, I have a few templates. I don't know why that's there. So I'll show you what this looks like if I don't have this. So if you want to get to the templates, you can either click this down button and there will be a whole, so you can either click this down button and see all the different templates, or if you go in and you like delete everything here, it'll show you these templates here. So this is a personal action template, but I want to change that logo. And I've made these templates just so that they link back to the relevant things. I actually have to go in because I think that they're linking to my actual pages, which I obviously don't want people to look at that. But I have some like random stuff here. You can change it, doesn't matter. It also automatically will be full width. That's something that I made it do. You can turn it back to not full width. So that's a parent project, and I'll show you this small thing. So this is like if you just put in something random, see like the description isn't filled out, type isn't filled out, subject isn't filled out. These two things are just like not urgent, low important. Also, if we delete these, it'll show you that it tells you to fill out the urgency and importance. But again, not much stuff is filled out. It isn't very detailed, and that's okay. It has like all this, but that was just like a random template that I filled in. So this you can just kind of play around with, and they all kind of connect to each other, which is really cool. And so here's how it filters out. So if we go back here, there are two things that you can do with this complex version. One is you can delete all of this bullshit, which I actually don't think is bullshit, but for a lot of people they might, and just have this action tracker in this page. And then, so I'm going to show you what that would look like first. So if you go into this view that says today's work, the filter will be today. So the filter is today. And that means that when you go into this, every project that is that says you're working on it today is in this thing. So that means that when you sit down in the morning to start working, you don't need to decide what you're working on. It already tells you what you're working on because you've already put in a task and you're like, okay, I'm going to work on it that day. And you don't have to think about it until that day actually comes. You don't have to set a reminder. You don't have to do anything. You just kind of do it. I'm sorry, my mom is watering things behind me. And then what's also cool about this is that I'm just going to filter this for right now to be to ignore the filter for the moment and just pretend that I'm doing all of these things today. Usually you won't have like parent projects be here, and those usually will have like a higher time. Honestly, you can just delete that because, oh, I forgot to show you. The parent project, this hours roll up, total parent hours rolls up all the hours that are in here, and it gives you the sum of all of those hours. And so you can actually just ignore the hours thing for a parent project. You can, if you want, put it in there to predict, but that kind of messes it up if you have the parent project for a specific day, if the date starts on a specific day, because then it'll give you like a super high number. But basically, it gives you a number down here of the sum of all the hours of the work that you have planned for that day. So again, it would normally be filtered for like just today. And so a lot of these are for May 11th, so I can show you what that would look like. May 11th. It would show you that this day I have this many things planned to do, and that sums out to 7.5 hours. So yeah, if you have the day before, if you go in and you're like, okay, I'm going to filter it to be tomorrow, you can see what you have to do for tomorrow, and it'll show you how many hours you have to work tomorrow, and then you can kind of plan your day better. But we're going to keep this as today because it's the template. There's also a view for what things do you have to do, and again, it filters for when the action is just due, so as well as, and that it's not done. So anything that's done, and you'll see that here too. And I forgot to do that, and done is not checked. So this will show you all the due things that you have to do that are not done yet. So if we go back to everything, we see that there's only one thing that's a due action, and so there's only one thing here. And this kind of just gives you like a faster overview of all the things that you have to do, and it's a lot less overwhelming to look at. So I can show you what mine looks like. So if I have this due status, there are like far fewer things. There are only 14 things here that like I need to do these now, and I've also been putting things off, so it's usually less than this, but I've been procrastinating because there's a pandemic and I'm sad. But if we go to, where's everything? I don't know. Oh, here we go. We'll see that it's like super long and would be awful to look at, so don't want that. You can also look at it by the stuff that's planning, or the shit in the middle as I call it, by area, by status. You can look at it in a calendar, so you see, okay, I need to work on these things today, those things today, those things the next day. This is everything. Actually, I think everything and table view are the same thing, so I'm just going to delete table view. Delete. And then for rainy day, old stuff, so this is stuff that was created before a month ago, so it just gives you the chance to kind of filter through and be like, okay, if I put this in a month ago and I still haven't done it, then like I should probably make it go away, or it probably is just not needed. And then done is done. So for me, every now and then I'll go into done and be like, none of this is relevant anymore. Especially, I'll usually do that if the parent project is completely done as well. But like I have so many dones that I just need to get rid of because they'll take up space. I mean, it doesn't slow down anything, but I don't know. It doesn't slow down anything, so maybe it doesn't matter, but I just don't like the idea of having so much stuff somewhere. Okay, so that kind of covers this. Trying to think if there's anything else that's relevant. Nope. Okay. cool. You can also change the filters and you can change what you see. So these, for a lot of these, I haven't gone through and like actually ticked off the properties that you would want to see. So what you'll want to do is like say what's relevant to me. If it's in done, like probably none of this is relevant, so you don't actually have to like click any of it, blah, blah, blah. And that's to show you what that means. Like here, there are only a few things that you see. So you don't see the description, you don't see the subject, you don't see links, you don't see all these things. You only see the things that are relevant that you want to see right immediately. For example, I like having the type because I like to see if it's a parent project, but also that might not be necessary because I can just go to parent projects and see what are parent projects. So like I'll show you on mine. I have these, and so these are just like things that I want to be aware of that are big things on my plate. Okay, so now, so that's like step one, is you could just use that and only use today's work. And there's a more structured, obviously, because I'm me, version of this, where every day I make a daily notes section. So let's go in and see what this looks like. I make a plan just so that I'm aware of what I'm supposed to be doing. I have what meetings I'm going to go to. I write down my notes here during the day. I have a check-in the beginning of the day that's like, how am I feeling, etc., blah, blah, blah. Meditate, self-check-in, read over the plans, and then it's like, look at the news is my end of the day. How did it go? Any insights? Blah, blah, blah. Then I say like, here are the main projects that I'm going to be focusing on today, and here's where I'll add like quick to-dos that I don't want to make a whole entire page for. It can just be like, text back my mom or clip my toenails. There are things that don't actually need a page, but I just need to remember to do that day. And what I'll do every day, you'll see here at the end of the day, is I fill out the actions for the next day. And so I'll make a new daily note. It will automatically open, which is annoying. I'll make a new daily note. I'll move this down here. And then the today is that. And then I usually, what I'll do at the beginning of the week, or like at the end of the week, is actually just like make a bunch of these and just like fill it out for the entire week so that I just have them all ready. And then it also automatically like does this where it kind of moves back up, which I like. So let's delete these. If you don't have one already here, so like let's move this here. If you don't have that there and you click this add, it's just going to automatically add it below, which is annoying, which is like why I like adding it before I move the one on top of it down. So, and this is where you can put all your past months and just to keep it organized. Okay, that's that. It's a pretty comprehensive overview. And now we're going to go into, there's a less complex version, which is, it pretty much speaks for itself. But basically, in the daily notes, you have the plan, you have your to-dos, and usually what I would do is I would drag my to-dos from over here. And I would just have like a running list of all my to-dos. Yeah, that's that. Really quick note, to change a block, this is a block, from one type to another type, you can click Command Option 1 makes it a heading, Command Option 2, heading 2, heading 3, 4 is to do, and through and through and through, 0 being text. So 4 is to do. And so I would just do this. You could also theoretically like have this set up and then have them move the master template here. So instead of having a page for every new day, you just have a toggle, which like is one way to do it. I just personally like having one page that I go to instead of having this, because it just gives me like a lot more stuff that I can work with, and it just looks better in my humble opinion. So if you wanted, you could like basically go back here and just move this into here, and then from there move it to your move it to the side here, and then just like filter out what you need to filter out. Okie doke. Okay, career home. I think what I'm going to do is just have one long video, but also cut them up into segments so that you can go off and see them. So I'm going to continue with this, but I'm now going to pretend like I'm starting a new video. Okay, welcome to the career home template video. So there's a bunch of stuff here. I'll start with the simple stuff. One, I have a Google Drive where I keep all my cover letters and resumes, and I would just link it here. So that's the simplest thing that you can do, is just always have a Google Drive of where you put things. Google Docs is better for formatting articles, for formatting cover letters, etc. So I wouldn't draft any of those in Notion. I would draft them on Google Docs and then link that drive here. Cover letter outlines. What I like to do is from every cover letter, I will take like the section that I wrote about Minerva, because in pretty much every cover letter I'm going to describe what I did for college, obviously, especially right now because it's relevant. And for every cover letter, I'll take that little section that's like, I go to a school that travels to 7 countries, blah, 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 and I'll put that section here. And so I'll just have like my wording, and like, let's say I'll have Notion application. And then it'll have the wording from here. Like, I went to 7 cities, blah, blah. And then part of an unsuccessful application would be like, let's say I applied to Facebook, which I did not. And I would say 7 cities were traveled by me. And so basically what that means is that I have like language that I can kind of copy and paste and then obviously adapt to the cover letter that I'm using, but like there might be some kind of correlation between the language that I used and the success, and so I can go in and basically whenever I'm drafting a new cover letter, look at like, okay, how did I describe that time that I worked with Sisu, for example, and use that language again if it was successful. So that just helps you like kind of have a place where you keep the language for cover letters so you don't have to completely write them each new time. You should always adapt your cover letters to the job to which you're applying, obviously, but just in case you wanted this. This I've never actually really used this, but I just really quickly put in the career development team links that they have on the hub. So that's just good to have. I don't know. I've not actually used them. I'm sure if I use them, life would be great. Okay, and this is the more interesting stuff. So let's get into the companies first. So this is where I put in all of the organizations that I'm interested in, whether or not I'm applying to them, and I can show you what they look like for me. Boop, boop, boop. Usually what I'll do is I'll actually find the logo of that company and I will upload it to their to the image, so you can upload an image. That's kind of extra. You don't have to do that, but I do that for everyone. So I obviously haven't like filled this out a ton. I mean, I have a number of places that aren't in here that I'm interested in, but this is basically just like companies that I think are doing cool things that I want to be aware of, etc. And this is like all of the companies in a simplified list. So again, they're like, in case you don't know what databases are, if you're watching this, you probably do. There are different ways to view the same data. And this is called a card. And basically what I do here is I will write in what they do, I'll write in my notes about them, I'll write in the city that they're in, I'll say what's my status. I have like a super detailed status thing. This is actually not even correct at the moment. Where do I say? I got this job, you guys, so that's great, but I clearly don't have a status for that. So now I do. And I also don't have a thing for accepted. Now I do, and I will add that here. So yeah, basically you have the detailed status. Yeah, so you have a detailed status, which is just super detailed, and you can get rid of these if you want, but I like being able to like really be specific. And then there's a high level status. Then there's like priority, the industry. So this template is still tailored towards me, which these are the things that I'm interested in. I'm not actually interested in video production, but I just added that for this template. And you can just change all of these. And then private, public, non-public, etc. These are all speak for themselves. These are just like other random tags. And then the website, duh. And then here's where, again, connects to other things, to other databases. So I'll show you the jobs database, but just really quickly, here's some like, actually I need to update this template. This should be like notes about the thing, like cool things that they've done, etc. So I just need to change that. So ignore this, but basically it will say like cool projects they've done, blah, 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 and then other stuff. So let's go to the jobs. Related jobs. So this will go to our other example organization. So I have an example job application. So let's say this is I'm just interested in YouTube, and so I don't actually have a job that I'm applying to. But for the example organization, this one, I do have a job that I want to apply to. So here is the job application, and if I open this as a page, I can get to the actual table that this is in, which is in template, jobs, and application timeline, which is in the career home. And so again, you can get to it from here, where you go from the organization to the job application, or you can go from the career home to the template, jobs, and application timeline. And so this, really what I should do is I should make this a template. So let's see, template button, add a new application cycle. And then what I'll do is I will duplicate this, and then I will put that in here. And basically this just now will be a will be this, but I'll just show you this for now. So sorry about that. Close. So this is like for different timelines, especially I'm assuming lots of Minerva students will be the people that are watching this, and so you're like applying for summer jobs in 2020. So I'd say like job and applications summer 2020. And then you can just have like your status table here. So again, this job application connects back to the organization that we talked about. It also will automatically roll up the website link. Actually, this doesn't work, and I've told Notion that annoys me, that it doesn't actually give you the link, it just shows you what the link is. And then it will automatically show you what tag or industry it is, the description. So all of these immediately come from the example organization. So for example, if we delete this, those will go empty, but if we put it back, they will automatically populate. And I think those are the only roll-ups in here. I have deadlines, compensation, application type, application role, detailed status should actually also be a roll-up, but maybe what I'm going to do is go into here and make detailed status a roll-up of the other one. So 1 second. Actually, no, I'm not. Never mind. Ignore everything that I'm doing right now. Delete property. Yes. Then we have the, like, let's say I had a connection to somebody in the organization, and I'd want to be able to contact them to get the job. My priority level, likelihood of actually getting the job, and high level status, and have I actually contacted them, etc. So. And then here's the like actual stuff, and I think this is like just a blank page that you can then draft in. And so that's covers that. And now let's go to the people page. So again, the people page is in here. So template people. It's also in the career home. There's a link to it here. And in this link, it should actually be professionals. And it should filter for if professional contact is, yeah, okay, cool. So I'll show you the entire page of people first. So this isn't fully organized, but basically it shows you just all of the people in your life. So I have cards for my friends. I actually haven't really filled out the cards for my friends. Also, it feels slightly creepy to have cards for my friends, but like I'll put in their birthdays and like things that they like so that I remember what to do for their birthday, etc. Or theoretically, that's what I would do. That's what I would suggest you do. It's not what I've really done, but yeah. So like, then you have lots of tags. So, friend, where did I meet them? What's my status? Am I actively in contact with them? Do I want to connect with them? This is more for like professional people. They really like voice messages, or maybe they hate voice messages. What's their birthday? Maybe it's 26th of the year, and then every year I would, like, for example, I would put a reminder, so remind me on the day of the event so that I can remember, and then when that happens I would go in and change the year, and that's going to give me an invalidate, and I don't know why it does that. I have a feeling that it's because something about my computer being in Spanish, but their email, when did I last contact them. This is, again, less important for professional contacts, and so I'll just go to the professional contact one because that's more important. So there's lots you can put in here, and it's pretty fantastic, actually. It's really helped me, especially this past year, and I honestly think it might be why I have a job. But let's say this is professional contact 1. I have the type professional contact. This also gives you colleague, classmate, etc. Let's say I met them on a plane. My status is I want to keep them in contact. They're good for emailing, which is usually the case for professionals. Here's their email. Tags, for example, like these are the things that we like talking about. How did I meet them, etc. When did I last talk to them? And I'll show you what done means in a second. I'm going to kind of finagle these things. So here's some fun stuff. So if I put in that I want to reach out to this person every 6 months and just kind of check in, see how they're doing, tell them how I'm doing, etc., which is what the coaching and development team will tell you to do. It's still nerve-wracking, especially when you're like, I don't do anything interesting. Why would they want to hear from me? But whatever. Frequency of contact, 6 months. And if I put in if I last talked to them more than 6 months ago, more than my target frequency, so let's say if I wanted this to be 12 months, then the action wouldn't tell me anything. But if it were 6 months, which October 1st, 2019 was over 6 months ago, this hunk of code, which you can't even see all, yes, you can see all of it, which it used to be like double the size. I'm very happy that I've gotten it shorter. But basically this does a bunch of if statements that says if the time between this time and now is greater than 6 months, then it will tell you to pick a date to reach out. If I picked a date to reach out, so let's say, okay, fine, I'll reach out to them on Saturday, then it will tell me to draft an email. Let's say it was tomorrow, it will say send the email today, and if it's to yesterday or today, then it just send email today. Let me see what it says for me. My people page is like super not on top of it right now because basically I haven't been doing anything. No, okay, that's just what it says. Okay, so ignore that moment. So we, have send email today. And if I send the email, then it's like, you did a great job. But let's also say that we last talked on May 14th, yesterday. And let's say I clear this, then it will tell me to follow up with them. And if I followed up with them, then it'll tell me good job. So that's how that works. So it's slightly complicated, but basically just keep on top of like, when do you next want to contact them? When did you last contact them? How frequently do you want to contact them? So just like be aware of those. Again, mine is like, I clearly have been super not on top of it, but there's a effing pandemic, so I don't care. Then this is affiliate organizations if you don't actually have them in your connected organization database. If you just want to like, if you're just like, they just worked at this place, I'm not interested in learning necessarily more about the company or like working there, so you just like I'm not interested in working at Foundry. Nor do I necessarily want to keep up with what they're doing. Like maybe I would, in which case I would put them in connected orgs, but for now I'm just like, here's just a tag. At a certain point I might just delete this and just add everything to the connected organizations and just filter it out, but for now I just have 2 tags, which is kind of unreasonable. You should probably delete this. And where are they? What people are they connected to? So maybe professional contact number 2 is connected to professional contact number 1. Maybe one of them introduced me to the other. Maybe they're colleagues. This is also I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why this is there. This should be, let's go, plan, so that should be there. And we'll just delete this. So maybe the action is like email professional contact number 1 about a job. And so email P1 about job, and I would keep that, I would make a new page, so that'd be a new to do, and then I could open it up and fill out all of the stuff and just like do all these things, etc. Then we'd go back. So now I have it connected to ignore this. This is just telling me to rest my eyes. Clearly I'm not doing that. You want to click this off. If you use the template, so whenever you go in, you're like, I want a new professional contact. If you use this, it will automatically fill that out. And these, I think I need to delete, just because actually, you know what, fuck the whole having multiple application rounds. Just ignore that, what I said. So here, sorry, this tutorial is kind of crazy, but ignore this thing. We'll just say jobs and applications for any time. And so in that professional contact, you have one last thing, which is just a place to keep notes. And I like to have emails here. So I think in the other example, I have a whole thing. So I'll put in here that I need to send an email, and I'll give myself a reminder. And again, you do that by saying the date, so like tomorrow. And then if you click on it and click remind, it'll give you the blue thing and remind you, and it will remind you in your updates place. Not there, all updates. And then you can add a new draft, and it'll just give you all these things to do, and it'll give you a little place to add your draft, etc. And then you can also put in the sent emails here. So this is just for you to draft emails and keep on top of them. And this is like notes about that person to like bring up in a next conversation, things that they like doing, etc. Just so that like, I don't know, so that you seem impressive and like you have a good memory even if you don't. Mwahaha. Okay, that is the end of the career home overview. Next, pet projects. Okay, The pet projects tutorial is going to be super short. I have a manifest class in 7 minutes. Basically, this is where I just like to keep random ideas that I have, so I'll show you mine. I just keep random ideas for things. So virtual Minerva Tea with Strangers. I did it. Completely revamping public schools in the US is just something that I like to think about, so I just keep it here. A study on greening classroom walls, or let's see, a food guide for the busy amateur, which is actually something that I did make and I'm still making. And so I just like keep, this is that. If you're interested in looking at it, you can ask me for it. But this is where I just keep like different random ideas that I've had. And so you can make a new one. I don't think there's anything in here. This template is useless. I might make a template. But basically, I don't even think you need one because they're all just going to be so individual. Basically, like whenever you have an idea for anything, just put it here. Is the idea of this page, so that you don't forget them, so that you just kind of have, like, if you're like, I'm bored and I want to work on a new project, you just have like a whole list of like things that you can pick up. So I just have so many things that I'm interested in learning, etc. There's also an online courses page where you can make, it just has like you can mess around with it. It's pretty straightforward. It's like if you have an online course that you're taking. Not that difficult to understand. This is literally just a random page, just to put some notes. Two things that are the most in Works are the template ideas forest. The idea is that you would web clip anything you find on the internet here. So let's see, I would go to foodnetwork.com. And let's say I really like this chicken with shallot butter recipe. I can web clip it, and I can say to recipes. I never know how to spell the word recipes. And I want it to go here, I believe. And then I would save the page. And if I go back here, I can find recipes, and it's right here. So that's the idea of this page. I might change it so that it's only one database, and then you can, all the ones that aren't tagged and organized would be under a view that they're not tagged and organized. But basically this is like, you would fill each of these areas with your own interests and organize them as such. I have the things that I'm interested in here, like best school readings, and you would web clip them to there. And that's just kind of like, yeah, where you keep information that you always want to have. I copied this idea from a guy named Valentin Perez, who I actually got to talk with once, and that was fun. He has lots of Notion stuff. I like my Notion better, though. But that's the beauty of Notion, is it's individualizable. Okay, Notion, for me, this is a quick tutorial on research templates. Notion for research projects for me has been absolutely incredible. I think I'm gonna try and do like an even longer tutorial about this because it's like the second least fleshed out. Like if the ideas forest is the least fleshed out of everything, then the research template is the second most. So if we go into like look what this is about, basically it's just a place to put all of your articles that you're reading for any research project. I highly recommend using this for a capstone. I can show you what it looks like for my capstone. But basically you have articles, books, and report/website templates, and let's say I just found a new journal article. So I'm going to put in here, we're going to delete these because these are not relevant to this. But yeah, so you have a few things. This sort check, you don't worry about that. That's for sorting reasons here. Never touch it. This is like, is this thing reviewed and is it actually in your paper? So you click it when it's in your paper, and that will then come here, and I'll add this here, but like used in paper. This then will filter to only show if it's reviewed. Yeah. What else? You can give it tags. This has tags for a recent research project that I did. So I should actually delete all these and change them, but you would add your own tags. You would add what type of source it is, make a Google Drive, and then link the PDF of it. Oh boy, I have 30 seconds until my manifest class. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward. I'll probably make another tutorial about this, but you can use that because it's completely separate from everything else. You don't need it in this tutorial. Oh, okay. Well, there's also travel and event planning, and that kind of speaks for itself. But basically, I add flights here and events here. And that should kind of be it. I use this page to randomly take notes or organize things, just to practice organization on Notion. Like if I want to. Okay, I think that's a natural stopping point.